Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Appsmith live streaming event. Today we have a journey of transformation. We are about to embark on a path that could change the way your business or enterprise operates forever. This is not just a live stream, this is your gateway to a brighter future. I'm your host, Kevin Blanco, Senior DevRel Advocate here at Appsmith, and let me begin with a question. Have you ever felt the pain of being impacted by slow development cycles, costly coding, and missed opportunities in your business? Maybe you have faced situations where valuable data is hard to access, analyze, and expose to take key business decisions. Perhaps you have data on multiple systems and platforms like Salesforce, Hubspot, Shopify, and many more, but accessing all their data and combining them to take key decisions using their complex APIs, authorization mechanisms, and much more make things really complicated. Isn't that frustrating, right? But here's the thing, we're not here to dwell on the past, we are here to transform it. So, today we're going to show you a great solution for those kind of problems using Appsmith and our joint collaboration for today, Sequin. What if I told you there is a way to breaking free from the chains of time consuming development, complex coding, and data isolation? What if you could access your data seamlessly, build applications rapidly, and make decisions driven by insights? Well, that is why we are here today. Okay, and as you know, our goal is always to bring you insightful and engaging sessions that will provide you with valuable insights into the world of no code and low code development and the incredible possibilities we offer. And today we have a joint collaboration, as I mentioned, and I'm going to bring here to the stream Eric Goldman. Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Hey, Kevin. Excited to be
Uh,
here.
yeah, how are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure. We are extremely excited because today is not just talking about our product and their product, but actually we're going to get on into some hands-on. So you will see how easy it is to first of all do everything on the Sequin portion, and then how easy it is to integrate with Appsmith and build something valuable within Appsmith. So Eric, tell us a little bit about Sequin. And actually, I was talking to Eric offline before we get started. How for me it was hard to understand how to pronounce it, but yeah, he explained to me it's Sequin, and yeah, let us know what's this all about.
Yeah. So Sequin, you pronounced it perfectly, Kevin. It's a developer tools platform that helps anyone building an application access all their data from third-party platforms like Salesforce, which we'll talk about today, or Stripe, or GitHub, or Airtable. And the way that we do that is we just give you all of that data in your database. And as everyone on the stream probably knows, Appsmith has a really fantastic Postgres connector or database connector. So instead of needing to work through, for example, the Salesforce API, you can just use the Appsmith SQL connector to really quickly query for your data, insert new records, update contacts, and just use all the power of SQL to build an app much faster. You don't have to worry about authentication or pagination or any of the weird things that come with a API integration. You just get to use the database, which is super easy.
Nice. So instead of just like worrying about APIs and endpoints, I can use just plain SQL. That's great.
Exactly. And I think the easiest way to get it is to dive right into showing you how it works. And we can kind of talk through exactly how it's doing it, or if you have any questions as we go along, Kevin, that you think everyone would want to hear, like let's dig into it. But I'll start by kind of just showing you how we're going to set up an application with Sequin. And today we're going to build an application on Salesforce. Salesforce is a huge platform. I'm sure a ton of the folks out there have at least heard of it if you're not using it. And it
Yeah.
has a crazy API, right? It has over 400 objects in the API. It's a complex REST API paired with a SOAP API. So it's something that you would otherwise want to avoid if you can. And let's get into it. So
Yeah, yeah, totally. Share your screen, and I agree with you. I mean, we have a template in our website for people who use Salesforce, and yeah, we have to admit it is a complex API.
it's
It's
a
so
complex
many
one.
fields, it's so many the authentication. It's hard. Like Salesforce is big. It's definitely great for enterprise, but it's a big platform to connect. So I think that's definitely valuable in there. Before I share your screen, I want to let the users know that you can scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now. It's going to be like there to create an account for signing up for Sequin. That's definitely something you can start doing for free. So
Yeah,
as Eric is going to show us, you can actually also try it yourself. And we have an official documentation in our website and also on the Sequin documentation. Both websites have the official documentation, so you can also go there and follow the step by step after this call. So it's much easier for you to just to scan the QR code and not just like to take a look at the text in the screen, right?
absolutely. Yeah, thanks for pulling that together. That's awesome. So yeah, this is Sequin. As Kevin just mentioned, you can go right into our docs to Appsmith, and we'll walk you through everything I'm about to show you. We're also right in the Appsmith docs, so you can go through those docs to really get up and running. But for this demo, let me just show you how it works. It's really very simple. It's just a couple clicks to get up and running. So what we're going to do is I have a little Salesforce demo instance right here. It has some
Mhm.
contacts, it has some accounts. It's just a small little demo instance to kind of help us get a feel for what this is going to work, how this is all going to work. So the first thing is we're going to connect this Salesforce instance to Sequin. And so when you log in and create an account, you'll come into the Sequin console. And the first step is just to set up a sync. So you're going to click to add a sync, select the platform, which is Salesforce, and we're going to create a new credential here. So I'll click to add a new credential. The first step is I need the subdomain for my Salesforce instance. And so I'm going to go
Mhm.
back over to Salesforce here, and the subdomain is this little guy right here. Copy that, go back to Sequin, paste that in, and we're going to be authenticated. I'm already logged in, right? The next is we're just going to ask your environment. You can really choose whatever you need if you're starting in a development environment. So let's say you're using like a Salesforce sandbox or a development account. We really encourage you to select development. It makes it a lot easier for us to provide you really great support because we kind of understand what should be happening with the sync. But for this one, we'll say production. For rate limit, you can really adjust this to your exact needs. Sequin takes care of all the rate limits, all the API quotas on your behalf. But for Salesforce, you have a lot of control over that. You can either give us a lot or a little depending on what your sync needs. Because this is actually a development account, I'm actually going to push this down to right under 15 because that's the total amount of API requests we're allowed to make on a Salesforce developer account. And then you're going to select the exact objects you need in your sync. So we'll do just two. We'll do contacts and accounts. And what's also really helpful is you can select exactly what fields or columns you want in your database as well. So whatever data you need from Salesforce, you can just, turn it on and off by flipping these switches. We also give you, like let's say you don't need birthday, you can just turn it off. We also give you kind of these abilities to lock the schema. So something that can be really frustrating for building an app on a platform like Salesforce is maybe one of your teammates goes in and turns, something like first name or home phone, and they just turn this into something like um, cell phone, or they change the field name, and then it breaks all of your queries. You can go in and kind of save a new name for it and really kind of set up your schema to be exactly what you need it to be. So once you've gone ahead and selected your tables and columns, you'll now choose where you want to sync your data to. And we can sync to any Postgres database that's accessible to the internet, either through a tunnel, through IP whitelisting. As long as we can reach that database, we can sync to it. For the purposes of this demo, we'll just use a Sequin demo database because we'll just to help you get up and
Mhm.
running. So I'll choose new Sequin database, and then you click create.
Um, Sorry, Eric, can you do your screen a little bit zoomed so people can see a little bit more?
Oh, yeah. Let me zoom in on here a little bit.
There you go.
So we have it all configured now, and it's creating the sync, and you're now in the sync page in Sequin. And what this is showing you is that, we're backfilling the data from the Salesforce instance into the database. You can obviously go through and at any time change the exact, objects and fields that are syncing. So at any time in the life of your project, you can go and change exactly what's syncing. So if you need, in the future to start syncing things like cases or attachments, you name it, you can go in and add it to your sync at any time. And
Great.
what we're going to need is these connection instructions. The connection instructions are how you actually connect to the database we just stood up for the sync.
Great. And so the syncing works both ways. Like you can not only get from Salesforce to the actual database, but also any query that we do into the database is going to be syncing back to Salesforce.
Exactly. And
Nice.
the way that we do that is through a Postgres proxy, or the Sequin Postgres proxy.
Mm.
And what these connection instructions are showing is how to connect into that Postgres proxy so that you can both read from the database from Appsmith and
Mm.
also write to the database and Salesforce simultaneously. And so what the Postgres proxy does is it sits in the middle of Appsmith and your database, so that whenever you make an insert, like create a new contact, which we'll do here in just a little bit, or update a contact, we're able to intercept that SQL query and validate that it's going to work for Salesforce, and then update your database.
Mm.
And that's really, really helpful so that you can't do anything in the database that would break the sync with Salesforce. For instance, putting in the wrong email address. Salesforce will reject an invalid email address, and we're able
Mhm.
to enforce that at the database level. So let's get it connected to Appsmith. We have the connection details here. So I'm going to keep this tab open.
Mhm.
I'm going to head over to Appsmith, where we have a kind of new blank app ready to go. And you'll just go over to data sources and click new data source. And we're just going to connect into it like the Postgres database it is. It just works like Postgres. So I'll select
Right.
Postgres. And now we're just going to put in all the information. It's read and write. So now I need my host address. So if I go back to Sequin, I can grab that host. The port is always 5432. As you work with Postgres, you'll know like that's just always the port.
Right.
The database is this database. Get that in there. And then the user and password you pull right from here as well. So the user is this one. And the password is right here. SSL, we support full SSL, so we'll set it to allow, and we can test that configuration, and it's connected. So let me just give it a name. I'm going to call it Salesforce, because that's really what we're syncing here.
Mhm.
And I'll click save. So now with those couple clicks, we now have all of the Salesforce data coming right here into Appsmith, right? So the contacts that I just showed you, they're actually right here, right? We can do a select star from public.contact. And when I run that, there they are. They're just coming right into, sorry, I need it. They're coming right into the application, just
Right.
raw, just with a little SQL statement. And so now Sequin is connecting Appsmith to all of the Salesforce data in that account. And you're now ready to just build using all the power of Appsmith SQL frameworks. And I'll pass it over to Kevin to kind of help us build it from here.
Well, that was easy. First of all, I mean that was really easy on your end. It looks like your platform is super smooth, super straightforward, just to plug in Salesforce into it. And I wanted to ask you before we jump into the AppSmith portion.
Yeah.
If you can tell us like what other sources do you support, because I know that it's not only Salesforce, right?
Yeah, we are adding more sources every week. Today, we support 5 sources. We support Salesforce, as you just saw,
Hmm.
Stripe, GitHub, which is a really common tool for development teams to build on. We support HubSpot and we support Airtable. And we're working on a lot of really exciting new sources. We're working on Shopify right now. And
Nice.
we'd love if there's anyone watching, if you have a source and you want it, please just come and shoot me a note or go to our website and request it because our biggest focus right now is adding more sources.
I guess it is. So that's cool because, like, for example, we have an Appsmith application, and Sequin is going to be connecting to all of those sources. We could like interconnect them. Like, for example, I could pull data, hopefully in the future, like orders from Shopify and leads from Salesforce, and I can like even mix data into a single application, right?
Exactly. One of the best things about moving all of your third-party data, so like Salesforce data or Shopify data, into your database is it now sits right next to all of your first-party data. So like your public schema. So all your
Mm.
user data, all your, account data, whatever that additional information is that's in your database, you can
Mhm.
mix and match it using join, select, all the tools that your database has, you know, done really well for the past several decades. It's all accessible to you with any data source. And that's what's so common, right? Like one of the things we see a lot with Appsmith apps is people are combining their data that's in their database with some other data source. And to do that, they have to kind of query their database over here, and then they need to go over to the source connector over here, and then try to kind of get it all to work together with some scripts. But the beauty of the sync is you can just use it all through SQL. You don't need
Right.
kind of anything in the middle.
Cool. That's definitely great. I definitely see value in your product because I've worked with the Shopify API. I've worked with Salesforce API, HubSpot API, and I have to admit that it's not a simple thing. It's not super simple to do, and definitely not only from the simplicity of using SQL, but also the fact that you, like you were mentioning, combining the different sources into a single smart application. There's definitely value over there.
Yeah, absolutely. You
Cool.
see it, Kevin. You're on it.
So first of all, here's one of the cool features about Appsmith, like which is collaboration. Uh, Eric just created the app. He inserted the data source, and he just invited me. And now that workspace that we see here, Sequin plus Appsmith, is showing on my different data sources. Sorry, workspaces, which I have plenty, but I can just go and start collaborating, and all of the changes I'm doing, he's going to be also able to access those. So
Multiplayer mode. Yeah.
yeah. And you can go to the share option always within your AppSmith application, and you will be able to invite more people. We have multiple roles, and you can also embed your application or even showcase it to the AppSmith community, which is something we're going to be doing at the end. I want to show you how we can grab this and use it as a template, and then you can export that template and showcase it in the AppSmith community. And so people can just go in. The database credentials won't be exposed because this template is just going to be like the actual database queries and all of the widgets we're going to be using, but not the credentials. So anybody who has a Sequin account, they just have to put their credentials and the application will work. So that's one of the cool features about sharing templates within AppSmith and to the actual community, so anyone can start working not from a blank application, but something that is already built. Um, so yeah, the data source is here. I can see it. Eric created the sync, and actually, if I click on any of the tables, I will get like a sneak peek of what the different um, values we have on that table. As we can see, there's plenty of values already from the contact and the account. So there's multiple ways we can do something valuable here. The first thing is we can just go into the page. We already have a blank page here. Go to the widgets and start dragging and dropping widgets into the canvas. This is like your page builder. This is where for example, you want to showcase a table. Here you just drag and drop the table and you can connect the data. Every time you drag and drop something from the left column, on the left column we have the data sources, the libraries, etc. The center, like the big canvas, is where you build your widget, or where you build your application, or where you control your data sources. And then on the right, you have the properties of whatever you have selected on the center. So if I click here on the table, on the right, I have the properties of this table. So I will be able to control pagination, filtering, where the data is coming from, even the style. So that's one way of doing it. But there is a much simple way to do this. If we go back to the data source, and for example, we go to the account table, here we'll see some information about the different accounts we have. So from here, we can generate a new page.
Nice.
And just by that, automatically, you will have a entire CRUD data from specifically that table that we just got here. Let me just make sure it's working here. We have all of these columns. Okay, let me just give it a shot again. There's other mechanisms you can do this. You can just click here on the plus, create a new page from the data. Here you select the data source. Here you select the table, and you can even select what of the different fields that you have on that table is going to be the searchable column. So for example, here, I would like to search by the name of the contact, or you can also select any other, like the phone or whatever. But in this case, I'm just going to find the name, the first name.
First name. Yep.
Let's see if that makes it work. And there you go. So here automatically we will have all of the different tables, table fields that are bring from Salesforce into the SQL database and then into Appsmith. But you can control this. So for example, you can come here, click on the table widget, and you can see all of the different columns that we have. So for example, for this one, since I have a lot of columns, maybe some of them I don't want to show it. For example, maybe I'm building an application for my marketing team, or for my sales team, or for my support team, and I don't want them to see all of the data that we have on Salesforce. That's really cool to do an apps meeting. Super simple. There's multiple ways to do it. One of the ways is by controlling the level. So as you know, we have multiple roles in AppSpeed. So you can control the visibility based upon the roles. And that's super simple to do. But you can also just come here and click on this toggle icon. And that way you will hide that specific value. So for example, I don't want to show the API ID. I don't want to
Mhm.
show the system name, the phone, birthday. That's cool. Clean status. That's fine. Created by ID. And then we can go on with all of the different values that we don't want to show.
Yep.
Is deleted, maybe I don't want it. The bounce, maybe I don't want it. So all of the different values that you don't think it's valuable to showcase on your application, you can just hide. I'm going to just hide some of them randomly here, so you can see how easy it is. Also, you can change the name. Now, this is going to be the actual visible name on the UI, but it's not the machine name. So everything should continue to work fine here. So you can change here, for example, instead of the ID, I can just call it identifier, and that's it. It's going to change the actual viewable name, but it's not going to be able to change
Nice.
the field on the sequence portion. And then you can click on the gear icon on any of the elements. So, for example, let me find first name here, which is the one that I wanted to use as a searchable. I'm on the OML. There you go. First, I'm going to pop this to the top. So as you can see, you can easily drag and drop the fields the way you want. I'm going to rename it. And then you can come to the gear icon and modify how this specific row is going to look like. So I can, for example, say that this is going to be bold, maybe because I want the first name to be actually, popping into the table. You can say,
Nice.
there's going to be center, there's going to be right, left align. You can also align vertically speaking. You can change the value of the color. For example, you can say, I don't know, it's going to be red. And all of the different things you see here, you will see a JavaScript little icon next to it. It means that you can have JavaScript logic within any of these specific elements right here. So, for example, let's say, I don't know, you have status. You have pending, and you might have other statuses. You might want to say that if the status is pending, you want to show the text color to be red. But if the status is going to be ready, you want to show it on green. So you can have JavaScript logic in here. This is just a JavaScript evaluation statement here, and you can do whatever you want. At the end, you can return a true or a false. You can return whatever you want. That's the cool thing about JavaScript and within Appsmith. And you can do that on any field, as you can see, sorry, the font style you can also change the logic to have JavaScript. So maybe you want to show some bold, some italic, some underline, depending on certain logic. So that's one cool stuff. And if you say, well, let's say I'm not really good at JavaScript, JavaScript is not my expertise, that's fine. We have Appsmith AI, which is a contextual AI feature where you can just do backslash Appsmith AI, and you can literally ask Appsmith to generate certain portion of
Cool.
JavaScript without having to write it your own. And that's also something you can do on the SQL portion. So let me just give you a hint over here. Let's say I'm going to create a new Salesforce query because the data source is already plugged in. I'm just gonna create a new query. That's super easy. And again, let's say I'm not good at SQL. I don't know how to write any piece of SQL. That's fine. I can just do slash Appsmith AI, and the prompt is going to be showing there. And here I can say, get me the first name, last name, um,
Email.
yeah, email, country, and birth date. Birth date from the what's contacts, right? The name of the table.
Public dot contacts. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say contacts and just gonna hit enter. And the cool stuff here is that this is not just a random, like for example, ChatGPT query. This is contextual. It's actually gonna go to the table, to the different fields that we have, to the different tables that we got on the database, and actually get something valuable for us. So as we hit enter, it's going to get something that is meaningful for our database, not just a random prompt that we get from OpenAI. So there you go. It got the
Cool.
first name, last name, email, mailing country, and birthday. And although I didn't say like actual last underscore name and first underscore name, I just tell like the name that I wanted, but it actually go and got the correct table field name. So I could hit
Awesome.
run here, and there you go. We got this specific data from that table. And from here, I can create another widget, which is another cool stuff, which is you can not only create widgets from the pages by dragging and dropping, but also when you have your query ready, you can say, all right, I'm going to be creating maybe a graph or a table. So in this case, here I have a report of just the fields that I wanted. Instead of just going one by one, hiding and not showing the ones that I needed, in this
Yep.
case, I'm just went to SQL, ask what I needed, and now here I have something that it makes sense for me.
What's so cool about that is because Appsmith is able to see the full schema of the data source it's working with, it's able to just populate that query automatically without needing to really understand Salesforce at all. It just has all the information from the database. That was really cool. Maybe a cool thing to do here would be, it would be to actually go in and make it easy for like the success team to record the birth date or something for each of these contacts. And then use that as a way to like provide better, like, who doesn't like getting told it's, happy birthday? Maybe that's a cool thing that they could do in this app.
Yeah, that's great. That's definitely one example you can do here. Let me just delete here because we have this insert model. Um, you can just delete this because it was generated on the first portion of the demo. And like I was saying, you can do that by dragging and dropping the form component into the page, and binding some of the different values into that form and then hitting submit and creating a query that update that value. But another mechanism, which is kind of simple, is just to make this table editable. So that way people can do inline editing within the same table without having to manage forms separately from the actual table. So the way you do that is super simple. Here we're just going to click on the table. And again, we have the properties on the right. And on these properties, you can tick any of these checkboxes to make any of these values editable. So I know you mentioned that maybe you want to update the birth date because all of these records, they don't have a birth date.
Yeah.
So let's do it. We just take this value and automatically Appsmith is going to showcase this new column called save slash discard, where you can save the changes you have done to any of the editable fields, and or you can discard the changes and put back everything as they were. Um, and now that you do that, you will see that the buttons are basically not clickable because we don't have anything connected yet to any query. So let's do that. This new column here, it will have this gear icon. And once you click the gear icon, and let me move us to the right because people can actually see everything more easily. Once you click that gear icon, you have some functionality you can control for the save slash discard option. The first thing is the column freeze, which is already free. So that way, as people scroll, they will be able to have always that column freeze into the right of the table. You can just not have it, but I think it's ideal for this type of functionality. And then you have the on save action. This is where you will select what's going to happen when people click the save button. So here we can execute a JavaScript function, we can navigate to a page, show a module, etc. But in this case, we want to execute a query because we want to update the registry. So from here, we can select an existing query or create a new query. Let's create a new query, and in this case, it's going to be a Salesforce query. Now, again, you might not be super good with your SQL capabilities here. Let's use the AI feature once more. You just call ask AI, and I'm going to say to update the public at contact birth date field where the ID is the, and I know that the way we bind data, and in case you don't know, this is the way, it's super simple. The way you bind data from the table into the SQL query is just by calling the name of the table. In this case, the table name is table one. You can update the table name anytime you want. Just going to say table one at updated row. And in case you didn't know, that's the way you basically pull the data from the record that the people updated on the table. So if somebody updated whatever registry, Appsmith automatically is going to bind all of the data on that row into a property called updated row. And from there, you can just call any of the fields of that specific row. In this case, is the ID because I'm telling the SQL query generator to create to reference that ID. And using the table one again, that updated row, that birth date, because that's the name of the field that we got on the table. And by hitting enter, Appsmith is going to again understand the data in our table, understand the data in the table widget, and come up with a response that works for us. Now, here the only thing we have to make sure is that we use the double curly brackets.
That's pretty
That's
awesome.
how we bind data. Yeah, it is super easy to use. That's how we bind data from the widgets into the query. So there you go. Update public.contact, set birth date equal to the value that we pass from the updated row, where the ID is equal to the ID of the updated row. So that's as simple as that. And let's just call here update update BD. And we go back to our widgets. Here we will see that we can now bind to the query that we created. We can pass parameters if we want, but since we're referencing the updated value, we don't need to pass any parameters. And now we can define what's going to happen on success or on failure. On success, I want to show a alert, and this alert is going to be a success record updated, and then I'm going to do the same for the error. Show an alert is going to be a error. And run, and that's it. Let's deploy this application. And now, as you can see, the first thing that pop-ups is that there is this pencil icon next to the birthday column, and that tells us that this field right here, it's editable. Oh, one thing we forgot, sorry about that, is to format this as a date. So again, select the table, and let's make sure the birth date field or column, we can select the type. In this case, it's a daytime. And all we have to do is just make sure that we have two options here. One is the display format. This is how the value is going to showcase in the UI. That's different from the value that's going to be passed back to Salesforce. So we can format here in any tape or any form that you like. So for example, day or month or whatever you want. I'm going to pick this one. But this date format here is the one that's going to be passed back to the database. So it looks like we should be all set. Okay, so from here, again, we're going to click the pencil icon on the record that we want to edit. I'm going to pick the first one here, Nate Lates from eBay. And as you can see, when we click the icon, it's going to actually pop up a date calendar, which is great because a date picker, because we don't want to input the date manually. So we already have a date calendar pop up capability like this in Appsmith built in. And you can select the date. It's going to be a very old person who was born on May 1934, Friday the 4th. So there you go. As you can see now that this field have changed, the save button, it's enabled only for this record because it's the only one we have updated. And once we hit save, that goes back to Salesforce using Sequin. And in theory, this user called Nerd Lates should have its birth date. And Eric, is there a way we can check that actually happened on the Sequin portion?
Yeah, let me share my screen and you'll see that here we have Salesforce. Let me zoom in so you all can see it. There's Nert. And when I go to details, there's his super old birthday. And so with just one SQL insert, Salesforce is instantly getting updated as your team members figure out everybody's birthday. So pretty sweet.
Nice. So there you go. That's how you can easily, within Appsmith, create not only an application that pulls data from Salesforce using Sequin, super easy using plain SQL, but also we just utilize the capabilities from contextual powerful AI prompts within Appsmith to pull the data, show it on a table that you can filter, you can sort, but also you can edit on any of the values on the table and send it back to um, to Salesforce using again plain SQL, thanks to the capabilities from Sequin. That was
Yeah.
really nice, Eric.
And even I think what's so cool about it is it's not just plain SQL, it's just plain text. You just have to
Right.
tell Appsmith AI what you want to do and it just generates the query. So the world is your oyster when you can do that. You can just describe what you want and Appsmith does the work. So really cool.
Exactly. So, Eric,
Awesome.
thank you so much for your time today. I really like to invite everyone also to go to the community portal. That's where we share the templates. So, as I explained during the showcase, we have built in templates and community templates. So, if you're not like super agile within AppSmith, you can just grab an existing template, fork it, put your credentials, which are completely private to you, and have a working application out of the templates. So go to the community portal, go to the template section, and you will see a lot of templates from multiple data sources, from multiple vendors. So I just wanted to make sure that you have everything you need to get started, not only with Sequin, but also with Appsmith. So with that said, Eric, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your
Kevin.
time. And yeah, let us know in the chat or in the comments of this video if you have any questions, and we'll make sure to follow up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, Eric, have a great afternoon, a great day, and we'll keep in touch.
You too.
All right, bye bye. And thank you, everyone who joined to this conversation today. It was really insightful. I hope you learned a lot. And again, I encourage you to take a look at the documentation, to take a look at the different options and templates that we got for you in the community portal. Create an account, it's totally free, and also connect with us on Discord. Thank you so much for your time today. And until the next one, remember every Thursday we have a live streaming. It could be a joint collaboration, it could be a tutorial, it could be an Ask Me Anything. So stay tuned. Go to events.appsmith.com and you will see all of the upcoming events that we have. So you can sign up. All of them are free and make sure to learn more about Appsmith. Thank you so much again. Stay tuned and see you on the next one.